Golden Boy, man, are really stacking up their fight cards, and I know a lot of us have always been very critical of how they've done their matchmaking, but it's almost like they've heard it. They heard what a lot of us had to say, and they're saying, okay, we're going to give you all the best fights we can that are available to us. But at the same time, I'm a bit worried because they're putting up a lot of good fights that, what are we going to have for next year?
That's, I wonder, when they're done firing the gun, what are they going to have left? Because
okay, hold on. I believe we got...
Sweet.
I'm sorry cutting you off, but we have Robert Alcazar with us here on Leaving the Ring. Robert, are you there, brother?
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, thanks for coming on again here on Leaving the Ring with us. Last time we had you on, we had an awesome time. A lot of the fight fans, our listeners, they loved hearing from you and the discussions that we were throwing out there. So, hey, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Robert, there's two reasons why we wanted you on, okay? One of them is that you got the young Mexican kid out of Mexico, the redheaded kid, Saul Canelo Alvarez, to be facing Floyd Mayweather. And then obviously we want to talk about some previous things that you've done in your career. But I'm going to go off with the Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I know Golden Boy, they've been looking for some time. Since Oscar has left the boxing scene and has become a promoter, they've been trying to find another Oscar de la Hoya to fill in those shoes. What are your thoughts and what do you think about Canelo? Is the kid being a bit rushed, or do you think that he's got the goods the way your kid had when it was time for him to step up when he got in the ring with Tito Trinidad?
Yeah, of course. They are trying to find the next De La Hoya, but it's about, 20 years already, and they have not found one yet. And concerning this Canelo, the kid got a huge potential, but unfortunately, he's not ready yet. They have done a great job by give him the whole publicity they give him so far, but that publicity passed him way ahead from his boxing ability. He is not level yet. They spend more time give this kid publicity than they should be worried about teaching how to fight better. The kid got a great potential, but he needs more time. He is not ready. In my knowledge, he don't belong at that level yet. But only time is going to tell.
Let me ask you this. As a trainer, okay, and being in the position that you were at, in the beginning, you had a lot of commentators, HBO, matter of fact, their commentators, they would downplay what you were doing with Oscar. They were saying like, well, he's an amateur trainer. He doesn't have the experience. He's going to end up folding and falling apart. With Canelo's team, do you think that they're just in for the moment? Not really, like they don't want to believe what they have. They really are just kind of hoping that he's going to rise to the occasion?
Well, like I said, that's a brand new team in boxing, and then they need time, and only the time is going to tell. Right now, like I tell you before, they just not ready. They are not ready at this level. They don't belong at this level yet. They need, a lot of work. They have done a great job by protecting this kid, by picking his opponents up with extra. They've been too careful with the opponents they've been selected on the past, and that's a huge mistake. But they build them up to the level what they are going to make probably the best payday in boxing history. But like I say,
I agree with you.
He's not for this Canelo guy. Is not for reals yet. He got a great potential, like I say, but my knowledge, he's not ready yet. And concerning the other area, up to the same, the people from the press and the experts of boxing, to qualify the kind of coaches Canelo has. Only the time is going to tell, if they are doing good or they're going to be wrong. But right now is not time to, to qualify them yet, because they have earned nothing yet.
You don't even rate where do you rate the Austin Trout win? Like, is it almost like this fight, in a sense, could be compared for me like Kermit Cintron when he fought Teddy Reed, and it was a tough 8 rounds, and Kermit got rocked a few times, and then he came back and he stopped Teddy on his feet. And then they did surgery, and then they threw him in with Margarito. They just jumped from like one level, a fight he's supposed to win and he struggles in, to Margarito. And this fight, I mean, do you think he was supposed to beat Austin Trout? How do you feel about that fight in preparation for this fight? Does it even matter?
It's basically no match, because we like it or not, Floyd Mayweather today on the Earth planet is the best fighter right now at this time. And like I said before, to me, Canelo got only a 20% chance to win, because Canelo is still too robotic. He has a permission, one foot to throw a right hand or left hook. And by when he tried to do that to Floyd, and Floyd not going to be there. So, and the only chance Canelo has is to catch Floyd with a solid punch. That's the only chance he had. But, how many fighters before have done that to Floyd? It's not impossible, but almost.
Let me put this scenario to you, because this is going to be my pick. Both guys are kind of natural counterpunchers, particularly now at this late stage of Floyd's career. But Canelo doesn't seem like your typical like aggressive Mexican. He wants to box his way there, and so both guys, offense will be at a premium. What do you think about a draw?
No, like I say, Canelo is too robotic, too predictable. He don't got no breather. He don't know how to use his distance. He don't got no jab. I mean, he don't know how to bounce. I mean, he's too green for Floyd right now at this time. And like I say, it's going to be very, not impossible, but almost, to Canelo catch clean, solid punch to Floyd is going to be very tough, and he needs to do that in order to have any chance. If he going to start boxing like the way he did with Trout, I mean, who's going to fight? and Floyd is going to beat this guy easy by points.
What do you think about the 2 pounds? People are saying, oh, well, he's only losing a pound and a half, but you saw that he comes in like the 166 and 0.8 at the 30-day mark. He's got to get down to 152.
It's terrible. That's the argument, that people he got around. That's right there. You want to start qualifying, that people, whoever, you name the coach, conditioning coach, assistant, whatever, whoever is around him. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible job to do that. How can this guy at this level? That means he had to fight. He had to lose 5 pounds a week. How can a professional people around a fighter of this magnitude can allow that to happen? There is no way. And look at Floyd. He's underweight already.
Yeah, 150.8.
Yeah, that's the difference on professionalism at this stage. Floyd exactly. He knows what to do. He's a professional 100%.
I would agree with you on that, because I see Gennady Golovkin. When I lived in Los Angeles, I would see him fairly often at press things, and he was always like 163, 164. He's around his weight most of the time. Some people would say that makes him a small middleweight. I'd say it just makes him a professional. So why do you think this fight was made? Do you think they were rushing because they lost money on Guerrero?
Exactly.
Or is it just
no, who knows? Only they know the reasons.
Right.
But in my opinion, that's only my opinion. They've been building this kid, like I say, with publicity, not as a good fighter. And all what they're doing is a payday, because like I say before, and I think this fight is going to be the richest fight in boxing history.
I'm getting the same feeling.
More pay-per-views on this fight than any other pay-per-view on boxing history.
You know, I was kind of feeling that. I'm a little worried that it may not happen just because of the whole Time Warner Cable, you know, CBS Showtime thing. They kind of lost some markets, but I still get the same feeling. Do you look at this fight? How would you compare this fight to, say, Trinidad versus De La Hoya? Is it a very different thing? Because it felt like, you know, Tito had set the defense record, I think, at 14 defenses. I think De La Hoya was the 15th. Oscar had defended, I think, 7 times the belt he got from Pernell Whitaker, which was like the linear belt. Tito had the IBF. Is it very different, or is this like the 2013 microwave version of that fight?
It's very different. I mean, this fight, we all are going to have the chance to see it. It's not going to be not even half of the excitement of what we did on De La Hoya on that fight. This fight, like I say, because Canelo don't got the rhythm to go to fight. He don't fight. He's only trying to defend himself. He just tried to do counter punch. He don't. That's the problem he got. He don't fight.
Right. That's what people say. He's going to be the bigger guy, but yeah, he doesn't fight that way.
You know,
it doesn't matter.
We were talking about this last week, Robert, and I was mentioning on the radio show last week how many. Well, actually, I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I was talking to Gabriel about when I talk to like a lot of my family members or friends or people that I know, or even if I'm at a bar and I'm talking boxing, a lot of the folks that, or I've even seen it on Twitter and on Facebook, a lot of folks keep trying to compare this fight to Julio Cesar Chavez versus Melvin Taylor, and I'm like, where are they getting this from? Canelo doesn't even fight like Julio, you know?
No, exactly. Like I say again, including the fight you just mentioned, this fight is not going to show not even the half of excitement of those 2 fights you just mentioned to me right now. No. Why? Because, like I say, Canelo don't fight. He's not ready. He don't know how. And the example is how to fight Floyd is very clear. Is right there. Look at what Cotto did to Floyd. Look at the way he fought Floyd. Look at the way Chavez Jr. fight Martinez on the last round. If Canelo decides to fight like that, then he got better chance. But like I say,
it has to be an all-out. I mean, if you were designing a game plan to fight Floyd, would it start with the jab or double jab? To I think Cotto had a great plan with Pedro Diaz, where they kind of worked their way up his body.
Exactly. If Canelo wants to have a chance, since from the opening bell, he needs to try to go knock this guy out. He needs to go and fight. Otherwise, there's no chance.
Yeah, I agree. But let me ask you this here, Robert, and I'm just curious, okay, because since the Golden Boy Promotions has been made, like I said, they've been trying to look for another Oscar De La Hoya. Do you think Oscar really wants another De La Hoya out there? And do you think that's why this fight's been a bit rushed? Among the, perfect example, Vicente Escobedo, he was a bit rushed. Golden Boy has the tendency of rushing their fighters a little bit too often and too easily. Do you think, in the hearts of hearts, do you think that Oscar really wants to find somebody that can surpass him?
Well, that's exactly what he's been saying, basically, in every single fighter that he signed. It's a good example. Just the guy you just mentioned right now, Vicente Escobedo. I remember when they, at the beginning, when they signed him at first, what they say, they throw all this publicity. Oh, this is the next Oscar De La Hoya. Oh, this is the next Oscar De La Hoya. And then what happened? Why? Because that company, Golden Boy, they don't have somebody to teach those fighters how to fight like De La Hoya. That's why they are stuck big time. Look at what happened to this other kid from East LA. I
Frankie
recall
Gomez?
his name right now.
Is it Frankie Gomez you're talking about?
Exactly, that one, that kid, Frankie Gomez. Look at when they signed him at first. They used the same plan. Oh, this is going to be the next great Oscar de la Hoya, this and that. And
I remember that.
where's the kid at? Yeah,
They gave him a
to
bunch
me,
of money,
yeah,
and he got tired. He
Exactly.
got a bunch of money and just kind of chilled and hung with his boys. Then he went to jail. Yeah, I mean, I think some part of him too. I think they grabbed him way too early. You know, he
Let's
turned
be
pro.
fair, though. I mean, Frankie went to jail with a lot of hot pockets.
He did.
Yeah, but like I say, they don't have somebody to teach. If they really want to build the next De La Hoya, I mean, they don't have the personnel to do it.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think that it's because, like you said, they don't have anybody to teach their fighters this? Are you saying that there's unexperienced people in that company?
Well, who knows what's going on? But look at the company; they not even have their own gym. All those fighters from that company are training somewhere else. That company don't have, like I say, their own gym where the fighters from Golden Boy go to work out, go to train.
What do you think about just kind of jumping out of this and into just kind of overall training for fighters? The whole drug testing thing that's going on in the sport. As a trainer, and you've kind of traversed different generations. De La Hoya's generation, the fighters even coming into that, into his period, are much different to me than the ones before or ones during that period. So I'm just curious where you stand on drug testing in the sport and the standards of the sport in terms of health and safety for these fighters.
Who's been done a good job on concerning safety, rules, regulations, and protecting the fighters. That's the president of the WBC organization, Mr. Suleiman. Looks like in boxing, looks like this is the only organization is worrying about the fighters, because that's the only organization who's always is looking for something better for the fighters, retirement plan, from the 15 rounds to 12, to attach the glove on the thumb finger, the 4 ropes on the ring, and all kind of measures.
That's all
like
WBC.
I say, yes, exactly. Mr. Suleiman is the president of the WBC organization.
That's interesting. That answer really caught me off guard. Most people kind of look at him in a different light in the sport. I mean, I guess people within the industry like yourself, would see him differently, but the fans kind of look at him almost like a Don King type of character, but just only in Mexico. Where do you think that comes from?
Well, since the television got involved, it's a different. That basically the television killed basically the business on the arenas. That's from past decades to these recent years. That's the boxing turned out more to be a business than to build a real fighters. That's why this new sport, UFC, is basically taking over boxing and the majority of the cars. That sport brings more people to the arena than boxing today. Boxing probably is an exception, like this coming fight, Canelo Floyd, bring more people, but basically the other sport is bringing more people today because they televise, they sell pay-per-views, and before that happens, I mean, those arenas was packed. And today, before, in those past decades, fighters used to be more for reals because was less divisions to fight for a title. So they add too many divisions, super this, light this, and you just name it, all kind of belts. Before was only one belt, and look at that today.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that argue against it, but I always think it gives fighters more opportunity the more belts there are. And TV, but it diluted things. When TV got involved, every fight had to be a championship fight. 12 fits better into networks. I've always wondered why they didn't do 13, because it seems like 12 makes more for more draws. But certainly it is safer. I wanted to ask you too. I don't want to take up all your entire night, but the De La Hoya Trinidad fight. It was really reported on. They did a legendary nights on it. For you as a trainer, and heading out of the career of De La Hoya, and he kind of certainly went. I think the end of his career was more about building his company than legacy. Were you unsatisfied not getting a rematch and not doing that fight again, and kind of just getting it right?
Well, the reason that fight, if you notice, we never did a rematch on his career except one, Chavez fight. And the only reason we make that rematch, that was because Chavez don't give De La Hoya a credit for the first fight by saying that he was already cut. So now we got here the angry De La Hoya, and he asked for that rematch because he decided to fight Chavez on his own game plan. He decided to fight Chavez toe-to-toe because the first one was 100% tactical, a game plan for the first one. And for the second one, he decided to play the macho area, and he decided just go toe-to-toe with the guy. And, well, you see what happens.
Yeah, no, he fell apart. Well, he also rematched Shane Woodley, too.
With Trinidad, okay, the reason was this one, because the Trinidad was asking to go 50-50 on the business area. And then De La Hoya felt at the time that he don't need to give that guy the rematch because he felt like he won the fight. Okay, he was willing to give him the rematch if he was, I don't remember I believe was
the exact split or whatever.
Something like that, okay? I don't recall right now. And that was the only reason he decided to give this guy the rematch. And the reason, like I say, he don't want to give him the rematch because he don't want to share his own money with somebody that he already beat. That was his position. And that was the main reason that the fight never get to happen, because Trinidad never decided to accept whatever they offer him. He wanted to go 50-50. And
I think it was like an honor thing, too.
He decided not to take it.
Well, and I think, too, after De La Hoya, he didn't really need to... They were almost kind of like the Manny and Floyd of their time, in that they could say no to each other because they still were going to make some pretty good money fighting other people, and fighting fights that they could win. They both gave us great fights. It always just kind of, just competitively, I imagine it would kind of bother you to not... when I say get it right, it's not so much that, but as to kind of get it more definitive. I mean, people can always look at from the 9th round on and say, well, maybe the first rounds were tight. I always thought the first 4 were tight. The middle of the fight was certainly Oscar's. And he was more the flashier looking guy in the fight, I thought. He's quicker and the jab and everything, but I thought he got blocked a lot. But then the back end of the fight is what everybody remembers. And I mean, I guess if he had it to do again, he probably would have, in a rematch, I'm thinking, he probably would have stayed toe-to-toe a little more. Don't you think? How would you have altered the plan?
No, that was absolutely, that was the original plan that I made. The original plan that I made was to try to knock Trinidad out on the first 3 rounds. If that doesn't happen, and then we're going to execute the game plan that you see it. Okay, but what happened here? But 3 days, before the fight, one of his guys bring the tennis, the boots, the tennis shoes or whatever he supposed to use for the fight, the shoes. Okay, so he was breaking those shoes, and he twisted one of his feet, and he cannot train, and he cannot walk for the rest of the week of the fight. I had to ask a permission to the Nevada Athletic Commission to bring a doctor from the sports, doctor from the hospital to wrap his feet because it was a huge inflammation on.
Oh wow!
And then that's why I have to adjust the game plan. I decide to play secure. That's why I decide not to risk this kid that night. And even by him doing that, he ended up getting tired in the last 2 rounds. He up to the 9th round, like you mentioned, even the 10 was kind of like a close round. The number 9 was, I mean, huge, one of the hugest rounds of the Oscar career. But by in the 10th round, he started getting tired a little bit, and by the 11 and 12, he was tired on those 2 rounds.
Robert, let me ask you this, because you've been through it, you've been there. When you see fighters struggling and trying to find the perfect fit with a trainer, like Amir Khan, he's been jumping around. Even Angulo, Alfredo Angulo.
Yes, look at that case, Angulo. I mean, every single coach is not for every single fighter. The fighters make a huge mistake by just picking coach by the name, and they don't make any stop and try to ask themselves, this is the kind of coach that I need. This is the kind of coach can make a team with my style. They look at this Angulo. Look at it. Man, this is probably worse than the way he was it. And he went with he picked up one of the biggest names in boxing today. And look at his flat footer. He not even move his waist. I mean, he just put his gloves on his face to protect himself. I mean, who's teaching this kid even how to throw a jab?
Does it irk you to see? I mean, because look, Virgil Hunter to me he's a great trainer. His theory in boxing is fantastic. But are some fighters in your opinion, they just can't learn like the theory of not being hit? I mean, Angulo to me is just a guy. He's more of a rugged guy. He's never going to learn how to slip punch. He's never going to have great footwork. And when you get a guy like that, Robert, do you try to change him and try to make him a pure boxer, or you just leave it alone and just try to find little things that are going to make him just that bit better?
Yes, you have to be professional yourself and respect yourself first and be honest to these guys. That's a great example you bring to this conversation. I mean, it's no doubt on my mind that this Hunter is a great coach. But for Angulo's best interest, for his health, why him as a professional, why he don't tell the guy, just try to find yourself somebody else. We're not going nowhere. Maybe try to find a slugger coach for you. And to me, that's a mistake that fighters make. Look, you mentioned another great example, the Amir Khan.
Yeah.
They just think they pick up a coach with name, and they think that just by having those names on the corner, they're going to win some fights. And they need to worry more about learn and make a game plan and make it work, make it happen.
It seems like fighters don't really do that anymore, like the game plan, and I always talk about like a beginning, middle, and end, because you're going 12 rounds ultimately. you kind of break it up that way, and you kind of three acts, and eventually you break a guy down and stop him. I always thought that was the goal. Doesn't what you're pointing out kind of sounds like what I've been seeing is that there's kind of a diluted product anymore. We don't have as many complete fighters as we used to. Do you think that's what you were talking about also?
Why?
Because of TV?
Excuse me, it's no coaches to teach that. That's why. It's no coaches to teach a fighter how to fight. How many good fighters or how many fighters you see just simple like just to execute a jab, to stand right. Look at the majority of the fighters, they are flat-footer. And look at those decades before.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's a combination. Today, the
that
fighters
bounce.
make a mistake.
They don't have that bounce and kind of flow that the old fighters like a Salvador Sanchez had, where it's kind of perpetual motion and punches that come off of it.
Look at another great example. Okay, where's the coaches to teach that fighter? Or like you say, probably the fighter don't got the talent, don't got the ability to do something like that. That's why you have to make a team with fighter and with a coach to execute whatever way they decide to fight.
I think with Hunter, though, I think Hunter is a great coach. I think he has the fundamentals, and he's a very intelligent trainer. But I think that in order for you to learn or to soak in what the information that he has, you have to be with them from the beginning. I think coaches like Hunter, you just got to be there, like with yourself too, Robert. I would have to be with you for 10 years to grasp and to understand the logic or the theory of what you're trying to translate it into me to perform in the ring. I think a lot of fighters nowadays, they get it confused. They think that punching power is a success. They think that having a big promoter, it's going to lead you to millions. I think even publicists and managers, they don't have the grasp or the understanding what the business and what it entails to be part of that business of boxing.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. That's exactly what's going on today in boxing. That's why it's very, very hard to find out the next Ali, the next De La Hoya, the next Leonard, who's going to teach somebody. Look at the gyms. You just go to any gym you want to, and those gyms are packed. Where's the trainers to go to teach somebody? Like I said, El Salvador Sanchez. That is got a great teacher behind him. Look at Chavez. That's the styles. When I start working with this kid here on Las Vegas, Jesse Vargas, that kid called me himself, and he told me, look at Mr. Alcazar, I don't want to keep fighting the way I'm fighting anymore because I'm not going nowhere. I want to learn your style. Are you willing to help me? I say, okay, let's go check it out. We went to the gym.
It's been a lot more exciting.
Exactly. But look, how many fighters are smart like that?
That's true. Well, you still got Nacho out there, but he takes a select few guys. And do you think it's hard too?
I got another kid, the undefeated, Jose Cepeda. Look at this kid. He's 15 fights, undefeated in 15 fights. He's 13 by knockout. That kid called me and say, look, I wanna learn your style, but on top of that, I want you to make a mix on my boxing. I asked him, what is it? He said, I want to fight half like De La Hoya and half like Edwin Valero. I say, no problem, let's do it. And now that kid fights beautiful right hand and beautiful southpaw. Southpaw like exactly like Valero with that kind of punch, with that that kid fights beautiful today. Beautiful. He already learned. I've been working with him for 3 years and a half. And finally looks like I don't know where, but this month, October, he's going to be fighting his first 10 rounds fight. And like I say, he fought southpaw, right hand, no problem.
That's time, Robert. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. I think fighters need to have time. You know, when I see a fighter that already has a name, has a stature, and he jumps over to another trainer right away, to me, it's just that they're just so unsure of themselves. They don't believe in the tools they have already. But before, you know, because we gotta end it in a short bit because we're gonna have our next guest call in and stuff. But Ponchito Del Vaca is gonna be fighting. He's 2-2 right now, 2 knockouts. Right. He's gonna be in the Iron Boy. Give us a little bit of info about him and how excited should we be about this kid?
Same thing with this kid. He came to me. He came personally to see me and asking for everyone, and I wanna train him. And I started asking all these kind of questions, and then the first thing I did with him when I decided to help this kid, I just put him on hold. He got about 200 and some fights, amateur fights, and I put him on the side, and I started working all the way from the bottom again. And I worked with this kid already for 7 months, and look, in those 7 months, he got not just 2 wins. Look at the way he wins those fights, and especially the last one. I mean, it was not like a mismatch the way, because I don't believe that to build a career on my fighters like that. I don't let my fighters fight a mismatch. No, have to be even. That way, my fighters got opportunity to show me that they make an advance. And the majority of the fighters, the managers, and the promoters, they build the fighters by mismatching. That's why the boxing is the way it is today. But look at this Canelo guy. I mean, he got 40-some fights. Show me one real fighter he fought before. One. Give me one for real. A real guy that he faced before. None. This one
someone
was
argue that
Trout.
One. Well, some would argue, Robert, that Trout was I thought it was a good test. He impressed me. He showed me something there. But the entirety, I do agree in what you're saying. But that's a whole. You know what? I think we can have you on forever. To tell you the truth, brother.
Don't worry. Don't miss this Conchito. It's going to be another exciting fight because this kid, he put a show for the fans and for the people who got the chance to go to the fights. I mean, this kid is going to be something one day. He just got the potential. Only the time is going to tell. Right now, it's going to take him at least 3 years to know where he at, to know if he really got chance to do something in the sport. But from here to there, that's what we are doing. We're just trying to see if he can have the potential to do something like that. So we are taking one fight at a time, and we see only God, only time is going to tell.
Absolutely. I agree, man. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time. I can't wait to have you on again. Man, I wish I could have you on next week and the following week and after that and after that.
We can do it another time. Anytime you want. You know where to reach me now.
Robert, don't tell me that because I'm a stalker. I will stalk you. I will be in front of your house with a mic, man.
That's always educational, man. I appreciate telling us how it is. It's awesome.
I love the fact that you're still in the business, you're still involved, and again, I appreciate you coming on and talking to us, and I thank Emily again.
Remember, I was out for 10 years. Remember, I take out for 10 years, and Edwin Valero is the one who brought me back, and I make him a world champion. And now up to Valero, I am here with Jesse, and we'll see. He's going to have the opportunity in the next 3 fights to be a champion. So we'll see.
Guys still talk about Valero in the gym. I live up in San Francisco now. I was living in L.A. when we first talked. And I work out at this gym, the World Class Boxing Gym, over in the Mission. And a guy yesterday was just working out, and it's just the impression that Valero left, just with the short period of time that he was in the sport, it's pretty amazing, It's just so sad the way he went.
Exactly. That was a unique fight, and well, got a different plan for him. So
Yeah.
but that was a great experience to work with him, and we did a lot of good things, and including winning a world title. That was special.
I remember that day. Actually, that's the day I met you at the media day over at the Westside Boxing. They're on Pico, just outside of
Right.
Koreatown. And I remember you were wearing like these braces with on your arms with the pads, and you had to keep stopping and shaking your hand out because he was hitting you so hard. I remember his handshake that day. We did an interview, and he smacked my hand and he squeezed it. It was the hardest thing. He was like made of steel. He was special. I think he would have beaten them all from at 140. You know.
I used to ask him, why you squeeze when you shake somebody's hand. Why you squeeze it so hard for? And he used to tell me all the time, you have to let people know who you are. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I can without a doubt say that is the handshake I will never forget. Is Edwin Valero.
Oh man.
That's crazy. Again, Robert.
That's funny. Thank you for that.
I appreciate you calling in. I can't wait to do it again, and I think the next conversation it needs to be about Edwin. The whole segment needs to be about Edwin.
Yeah.
We can do that. No problem.
Okay, brother. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Sure.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Wow, that was nice.
It was, man.
That's funny. Yeah, I got to find that interview. I keep forgetting to look for it. I'm sure it's still in the Max Boxing archives. And it's funny because I don't speak very well. My Spanish, I understand it better than I speak it. And I just never really had anybody around me that speaks it. I should have dated like a Mexican chick for like 2 years at least. I had a lot of other 2-year relationships. I should have mixed in like a just non-English speaking Mexican girl.
Now you sound like one of those fighters saying, you know what, I need to get Virgil Hunter, and he's going to teach me how to jab it now. Just because you date a Mexican girl doesn't mean you're going to speak Spanish, Gabriel.
Yeah, I probably would have like 6 or 7 kids right now and be careful.
Hey, what's up with that? Don't make me start pumping up my Vicente over here, brother.
It's just, stereotypes are easier. They're quicker.
They are quicker and stuff, Well, Adrian Broner broke the